Nokia is the most valuable company in Europe. They sell 40% of every phone on Earth. Apple just announced the iPhone, but nobody's worried. Nokia's CEO literally laughs at it on stage. 5 years later, Nokia's worth nothing. Microsoft buys them for scraps, then shuts them down. This is the story of the biggest corporate collapse in tech history. And it all came down to one meeting, one decision, one word: no. Let's go back to 2006. If you had a phone, it was probably a Nokia. The 3310. The N95. These weren't just phones. They were indestructible bricks that could survive a nuclear blast. Nokia didn't just dominate the phone market. They were the phone market. 41% market share worldwide. They made $60 billion a year. Their brand was worth more than Coca-Cola, and then Google came knocking. 2006. Mountain View, California. Google had been working on something called Android, an operating system for phones, touchscreens, apps, internet in your pocket. But Google had a problem. They didn't make phones, so they went to the phone companies. First stop, Nokia, the biggest phone maker on the planet. Google's pitch was simple. Use Android. It's free. Open source. We'll handle the software. You handle the hardware. Nokia looked at Android and said, "No thanks. We have Symbian." Now, if you don't know what Symbian is, don't worry. Nobody does, because it was terrible. Symbian was Nokia's operating system. It ran on their smartphones. And in 2006, it was fine. It worked. It had 65% of the smartphone market. But here's the thing. Symbian was built for phones with buttons, not touchscreens. It was clunky, slow. Developers hated it. But Nokia had invested billions into it. They'd spent 10 years building it. So when Google offered them Android for free, Nokia's executives thought, why would we abandon our own system for some Google experiment? 2007. January. Steve Jobs walks on stage and announces the iPhone. Nokia CEO Halipeka Kalasvu watches the demo. His response? He laughs. He literally says, "It doesn't have a keyboard. How are people supposed to type?" Nokia's engineers tear down an iPhone. They find out it costs $600 to make and Apple sells it for $600. They conclude, Apple S, making no profit. This is a gimmick. It'll fail. They were wrong about everything. 2007. Here's what Nokia missed. The iPhone wasn't just a phone, it was a computer. And more importantly, it had an app store. Suddenly, your phone could do anything. Games, maps, social media, banking. Developers flocked to iPhone because it was easy to build for. Symbian, nightmare to code for, took months to get approved. But Nokia still wasn't worried. They still had 40% of the market. They thought, we'll just make our own touchscreen. Symbian will adapt 2008 September. Google officially launches Android on the HTC Dream. It's fine. Not great. But it's free. Samsung tries it. Likes. Italiano. Motorola tries it. Likes it. HTC, LG, Sony, everyone starts making Android phones. And they all start eating Nokia's lunch. By 2009, Android has 5% of the market. 2010, 25%. 2011, 50%. And Nokia, still on Symbian. Still trying to make it work. Still saying, we don't need Android. We have our own system. But it gets worse. 2010. Nokia finally admits Symbian is dying. So what do? They partnered with Microsoft. Whose Windows Phone had 2% market share. Nokia's new CEO, Stephen Alapa, former Microsoft executive, makes a deal. Nokia will abandon Symbian and switch to Windows Phone. The tech world is stunned. It's like watching the Titanic sink, and instead of getting in a lifeboat, Nokia decides to build a smaller Titanic. Here's what happened next. 2011. Nokia's market share drops to 16%. 2012. Drops to 5%. 2013. Nokia sells their phone division to Microsoft for $7.2 billion. Remember, 5 years earlier, Nokia was worth over $150 billion. Microsoft paid $7 billion. That's a 95% loss in value. So what went wrong? It wasn't just rejecting Android. It was deeper. Nokia had innovator's dilemma. They were SOA. Successful with traditional phones. They couldn't see the smartphone revolution coming. When engineers inside Nokia begged leadership to switch to Android, they were ignored. When developers complained Symbian was impossible to work with, Nokia said, "Learn it." When the iPhone proved touchscreens were the future, Nokia said, "People want keyboards." They had all the money in the world. All the engineers, all the distribution, all the brand recognition, and they threw it away. Because they couldn't admit they were wrong. 2016. Microsoft shuts down Nokia's phone division completely, fires 25,000 people, writes off the entire $7 billion as a loss. Nokia, the company that once made 40% of all phones, doesn't make phones anymore. But here's the crazy part. Nokia is still around. They pivoted to telecom infrastructure. 5G networks. They're doing fine. They're doing fine, but they could have been Apple. They could have been Samsung. Instead, they're a cautionary tale in every business school on Earth. Android wasn't just free. It was the future, and Nokia said no because they couldn't let go of the past. Symbian represented 10 years of work, billions invested, entire teams dedicated to it. Abandoning it felt like admitting failure. So instead, they rode it into the ground. Today, Android runs on 70% of phones worldwide. 3 billion devices. Google's mobile ad revenue, over $200 billion a year. Nokia could have had a piece of that. Google literally offered it to them, for free. And they said no. So the next time someone tells you we've always done it this way, remember Nokia, the biggest phone company in the world, who laughed at the iPhone, rejected Android, and disappeared in 5 years. But Nokia isn't the only company that made a billion-dollar mistake. Next video. Blockbuster was offered Netflix for $50 million. They left him out of the room. Want to know what happened next? Hit subscribe. Drop a comment. What's the worst business decision you've ever seen?